letting someone else control the ownership or management of your domain name is a valid strategy, but if you decide to do this, there's several things you may want to be aware of. Now, I didn't necessarily make these mistakes myself, but I've become aware of them from helping other people. So, for example, recently I created a listing in the business directory for the Better Business Bureau, or the BBB. So, when you create these directory listings, I usually create them for free, the free one, but if you do this, inevitably a representative from the BBB calls and they try and upsell you to the paid listing. Now, paid listings is an excellent way to build trust with your customers because you get to put the BBB logo on your website. And some customers, this holds a lot of weight. So anyway, I got the call from the BB rep after creating my customer's business listing on their website, and they wanted to see if he wanted to upgrade. So I took some time and I chatted with the BB rep for quite a while. When I told him that I also created websites, he asked me a question. He wanted to know if when I buy a domain for a customer, do they own the domain or do I own the domain? I told him I give the customer access if they ask for it, but most don't want to deal with this. The reason he asked this, he said, is that the BBB, they get calls all the time from companies because allegedly these companies who are calling the marketing company for them is holding their domain and their website hostage, and they keep raising their costs and their prices for their marketing. So, as I discussed earlier, I've used a marketing company to create my business and it worked perfectly. They did a great job. I had no problems myself. So this is a great strategy, I believe. However, I wouldn't want to be the one to find out my marketing company was holding my domain name and website hostage and raising my prices. So what can you do about this? Now, looking back, what I would do is there's a way you could buy the domain and then give access to somebody to manage it, but not ownership access. And I believe every domain service that I've used, they have this ability so that you have different levels of control. So that's what I would do now if I had to do it over. However, if you don't even want to deal with this, and this isn't legal advice, what I would do is just make sure that in your contract with the marketing company, you clearly specify, and you're going to want to talk to your lawyer about this because, like I said, this isn't legal advice. You would want to specify specifically that you own the domain name if they buy it for you, and you control the website and the domain name. And if you decide to move on to another marketing company, you can get these back with no problems. So that's just something to be aware of. And I've never experienced this myself, but allegedly, according to the BBB rep, this is occurring quite often. So just watch out for that. The next thing that you may want to be aware of, and I've run into, is some people have a friend or a relative buy a domain name for them. Now, I've run into this situation a few times, and if you have a high-speed relative or a friend who really knows what they're doing, or can just get by even, this could be a way to save a lot of money if you're bootstrapping your business. So, however, from my experience, people who do this, they don't know the details about the domain and the other things that the person has bought for them. They may not even know what company their domain was purchased from. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Whois database. So if you ever run into this, you can look up your domain in the Whois database to find out who the registrar was. Now, the other thing is they don't often know the login details for their domain name. So, for example, I helped a person last year. They had gotten an email from their domain register that their credit card was expiring for their domain. And this person had a friend set everything up for them like 10 years ago, and this person that set it up for him wasn't around anymore. And the company owner spent like an entire day trying to get access to their account so they could add the new credit card. And this was super incredibly frustrating for them. So after they contacted me, I helped them fix this. I think it took me about a couple hours, just because I've been doing this so long. I was able to ask them some questions, and then we called support together and made sure everything was working, and I was able to log in and get the credit card added for them. So you can save yourself a lot of potential frustration if you just do a few simple things beforehand. You're going to want to know a couple things. So you're going to want to know the website URL or link to the login page at the company your domain is bought through. So this is a domain register usually. You're going to want to know the login details. So what does this mean? So it can vary from company to company. For example, some companies use a username, and the username could be the account number, or it can be a username you make up, or it can be the registration email you use to create the account. Of course, and then you're going to need, and these are all known as the username, and then these are for people who may not know what I'm talking about here, to make sure you get the registration details, because I'm sure many of you already know this, but just for those who may not, I'm going to go through it. So then you're going to want to get the password they used or created, and then often companies will have a PIN or other two-factor authentication to secure your account. And I'm going to talk more about this later. And also, you normally, if you have all this information, the login details for the domain name, usually the hosting account or the website is created on the same account as the domain name, but not always. So you want to make sure and just ask, is the hosting or is the website accessible through the same information or the same account? And probably 9 times out of 10, I would guess that it would be. So just be aware of that. So after you get all this information, you're going to want to put it in a safe place, and you want to treat it like Coca-Cola's secret recipe. Now, as some of you may be aware, Coca-Cola keeps their secret recipe in a vault, and only very few people have access to it because it's that important. That is what makes their company successful, is the recipe for their soda. So you want to treat your domain name login details and access details similar to this. And if you have a fire safe in your house, you may want to put it in there. God forbid anything happened, at the house. Or if you have a safe deposit box or some other secure location, that may be something to consider. Now, for myself, I use a program. I've been using it for 11 years, and it's called RoboForm. And like it says, it's mainly designed for filling out forms online, but I use it mainly for the password features and the bookmark features. And I'm going to put an affiliate link probably below this video if anybody's interested in it, because I've tried dozens, probably at least a dozen different password programs, and this one works the best for me. And if you're a little bit techie, this one probably will work for you also.